speech of the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. Honorable Speaker, the Gambia's Medium-Term Development Plan 2012-2015 will be in its third year of implementation in 2014. The Program for Accelerated Growth and Employment, known as PAGE, aims to accelerate sustainable economic growth and development and to create employment opportunities for Gambians. Although the rate of implementation has been mixed, positive strides has been made in key sectors such as agriculture, education, health, water resources, etc. While the desired gains in sectors such as energy and infrastructure have been limited by resource constraints. I therefore seize this opportunity to call on our development partners, including the private sector, to continue as partners of government in pursuit of our development goals. Honorable Speaker, the ongoing gradual implementation of the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, through the various ministries, departments, and agencies helps to ensure that planning and budgeting are done over a medium-term period in a more transparent and participatory process. The 2014 budget will focus on fiscal prudence aimed at minimizing the growing deficit being financed by costly domestic borrowing. Therefore, the 2014 budget is anchored on containing the net domestic borrowing, NDB, to 2.5% of GDP by end 2014 and to near 0% by end 2016. The objective of this policy is to contain inflation, stabilize the dalasi, and increase domestic savings for program financing. Honorable Speaker, sustainable agricultural development has and will continue to remain a priority for this government. The executive, under the distinguished leadership of His Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh, has made this very apparent, given his commitment and popular mantra of eat what you grow and grow what you eat. The government, under his stewardship and cooperation of its development partners, will continue to invest in the agriculture sector. Focus on other productive sectors such as science and technology, infrastructure and energy will remain priorities for government as key platforms to support poverty eradication. Honorable Speaker, let me turn to the global economic outlook. According to the October edition of the International Monetary Fund's Economic Outlook, the global economy has entered yet another transitionary phase. Growth in advanced economies is gradually strengthening, whilst in emerging and developing economies, growth has slowed down. The slowdown in emerging and developing economies can be attributed to the stabilization of commodity prices and stricter financial conditions. Global growth has averaged 2.5% in the first half of 2013, largely at par with the corresponding period of 2012. The United States of America is expected to be the impetus for global growth in 2013, assuming that discretionary fiscal spending is approved and executed in a timely fashion, and that the debt ceiling is raised accordingly. In sub-Saharan Africa, growth is expected to increase from 5% in 2012 to 6% in 2013 due to stricter domestic demand and a surge in commodity-related investments. Continued economic growth in the region requires increased effort to rebuild policy buffers. Honorable Speaker, let me now turn to developments in the domestic economy. First, the real sector. Honorable Speaker, in the domestic front, real gross domestic product at constant market prices is estimated to grow by 5.6% in 2013, compared to 6.1% recorded in the previous year. The major contributors to economic growth activity in 2013 are the agriculture sector with 9.7% compared to 6% in 2012, followed by the industry sector with 7% compared to 6.4% in 2012, and the services sector with 3.7% compared to 5.8% in 2012. The growth in the agriculture sector is mainly driven by increase in crop production, livestock, forestry, fisheries, which recorded 14.8, 4.6, 3.4, and 4% respectively. Whilst growth in the industrial sector is mainly coming from the construction subsector. Electricity and water recorded a growth of 2.2%, mainly attributed to the expansion in the rural electrification. In the services sector, growth is projected at 3.7% in 2013 compared to 5.8% in 2012. The lower growth rate in 2013 is as a result of decline in international trade. Tourism, transport, communications, financial services, and real estate continue to grow by 8.5%, 6%, 3.7%, and 3.3% respectively. In terms of contribution to gross domestic product, the services sector continued to be the major contributor with 57.1%, followed by the agriculture sector with 22.2%, and the industry sector with 14.8%. Fiscal developments. Honorable Speaker, sir, total revenue and grants for the first 9 months of 2013 amounted to 4.9 billion, or 14.6% of GDP. And by year end, total revenues and grants is estimated at 7.7 billion, or 23% of GDP, compared to a budget of 7.6 billion, or 22.6% of GDP. Total revenue and grants for the corresponding period of 2012 was 6 billion, or 20.4% of GDP, and the actual for the same year was 7.3 billion, or 25% of GDP. Total expenditure and net lending for the first 9 months of 2013 amounted to 6.6 billion, or 19% of GDP, compared with a budget of 8.3 billion, or 24.7% of GDP. Recurrent expenditure constitutes about 69% of total expenditure and net lending, whilst capital expenditure constitutes 31%. In 2012, total expenditure and net lending amounted to 6.7 billion, or 23% of GDP, of which 56% was recurrent and 44% was capital. Expenditure on interest payments for the first 9 months of the fiscal year 2013 amounted to $940 million, compared to $951 million in the corresponding period a year earlier. The overall balance, including grants, at the end of the first 9 months of 2013 is a deficit of 1.7 billion, or 4.9% of GDP, compared to a deficit of 733 million, or 2.5% of GDP in the corresponding period of 2012. In 2013, the revised deficit is projected at 2.4 billion, or 7% of GDP. Monetary developments. Honorable Speaker, the objective of monetary policy in 2013 is to maintain price and macroeconomic stability. And to achieve this objective, the Central Bank of